Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about design pattern called parallelization. So let's get started. So just a quick refresher what we discussed last week. We understand that this design pattern takes a task, divided into subtasks and run all those subtasks in parallel. That's why it's called parallelization. And to demonstrate, come up with a use case called financial document analysis. So if I just go to the design architecture, just a refresher again. So we will get the query from user, that's here the query part, and then we will break the query, divide into subtasks, call respective tools, and those tools will make a respective calls to those APIs, get the data, and then we will generate the response, send it back to user. So let's go to the implementation now. Now for the implementation, I would like to come up with the breakup of this whole notebook into two parts. Number one, there are three tools which I need to implement. One is the annual report, second is company presentation, third is company's earning report or earning call, basically the conference call which they have with the investor. Now I am going to use US based companies, so let me show you before I run it. So I'm going to use some of the defined US based companies. It's kind of a API which is available online, like called SEC.gov. So Security Exchange Commission, it is US based a company which looks into the stocks data for all the public listed companies. So they have an API which we can use to access companies data. Now I'm going to use that. Now I have implemented this. First I need to go through these implementations, so that I will cover in this video, and then in the second video, which is a part 2 of this, again the parallelization design pattern, where I will show you how do I use these tools to build a agentic, basically the agentic behavior, where I will ask a question and it will go and access all these three tools in parallel, give me the data, and I will show you the response there. So let's get started. So first let me connect. I'm using Google Colab. Again the same libraries which I used in the previous notebook, no change, yes, but I don't need this python.env. So let's install this one. So I need LangChain, LangChain Core, LangChain OpenAI, ChromaDB, because I'll be storing this as vector data. So the tools which I'm going to show you, this is the RAG implementation. That's why I've divided into two parts. So first part I will show you RAG, although I'll not be doing the generation, I'll just be doing the retrieval. In typical RAG application, what we do, we index the data into the backend, which is a vector DB, and then retrieve the data based on user query, and then augment, basically generate the response using LLM. Here I will just use the retrieval part, means first index, then retrieve the data, and that retrieval will be given to agentic application, and it will decide what data it needs to use to answer a query. So that's the import one. Next I will use live imports. So first I have installed it, second is import. Now when I come to, okay, so I need OpenAI key, which is already there in my user data configured in my Colab environment. So I can run this. After this it will be executed. Now here is the RAG strategy and configuration. So I'm going to use basically configure ChromaDB, just sharing the path. First of all, that I want to store the data locally on this Colab notebook. I'm setting up headers because I want to call this API SEC API. I want to set up some headers, some dummy value. I set it up here, and then some delay. That's it. So this is the configuration. Then APIs. So this is what I was talking about. I'll be using one of these company ticker, symbol or ticker, to test the notebook. So I've configured these tickers to CIK mapping. Why I need this CIK? Because when I call these APIs, I need CIK. That number is required. So this is mostly the SC Edgar API implementation. So I have one class SC Edgar API. Okay, and here I have a base URL, headers, then class method is get CIK from ticker, which is actually getting from here rather than calling some external API. I'm just hard coding it and getting it from here, and then get submission, like this submission means if any company I pass, find the submissions done by that company. Submission means that these public listed company will submit their 10K forms, 8K forms and other forms. So these are all submissions. So that's what I have configured here. Then shared utility function, and I need one few functions related to ChromaDB, which are like going to use as a storage, as a database. So ChromaDB client here, then this is the get client function, which will just persist the data in the file which I'm going to pass as a ChromaDB path. Then generate embedding. So I'm only taking, so whenever I pass a text, this function will use text embedding 3 small model from OpenAI, and you see there here OpenAI client embeddings.create, and I'm only restricting it to 8,000 characters. Okay, so that's all from embedding. So in case if there is a text more than 8,000 in a given page, because generally these submissions are in the form of a PDF or HTML format, but if one page has more than 8,000 characters, so I'm not taking it. So just for making sure that I don't end up consuming too many tokens, because this is for a demonstration purpose. All right, next is download file. So this one is like when the path which is saved above. So we pass the URL, we say the path, that this is the path where it should be saved. So every time what you see is that I am downloading the file. From the submissions, I'll get the list of submissions, and then I will download locally, and from downloaded path, I will read it and store in ChromaDB. And this one is because some of the files are stored as HTML in the APIs. When I get it, I'll get as a HTML file. So I want to convert it into a pages. So this function is to convert the HTML data or into pages. So this is for that. So let's run it, and let's start each of 3 modules. So let's start with the first one, annual report RAG module, so which is 10K report. So here I am giving the name as annual report 10K. So this is a collection name in ChromaDB. So ChromaDB, we are creating one file called chroma_db. That's what I given the name up. Now I'm to give a collection name, like what collection, or it is equivalent to like a DB database name, which should be used to store the embeddings. Like, because when I get the data into vector DB, I will be embedding it and storing it as vectors or embeddings. So where should I store? So that is the name. So this class has its own init method, which is just a client, and which says ChromaDB client. So it will be using a ChromaDB client which we created above, this one, okay, which has the ability to generate embedding, download file, and parse HTML to pages. And then it will use it, it will check, here's the function is indexed. Like in case I already downloaded it and I am trying to again, let's say I call this function to or ask some question. So the functionality which right now built is, I'm not having the files ready with me. The implementation is done in such a manner that I will pass the sticker name, let's say Tesla, Apple, or whatever company I want to search for, and it will go to this API, Edgar's SEC API, find the submissions, download the file, and index it locally. And if it is already indexed, then it will not re-index, it will not download it again. So this is just about that. Is indexed means it is checking in the collection that whether the data is present for the given ticker and the filing date, because there is a date for which, because filing happens for multiple dates, of which if I'm looking for them, let's say annual report for 2024 or 2025, then do I have the data? If no, then it'll go and get it. So that's another one, download and index. So if means if there is first time I'm calling this particular API or particular module called annual report RAG, then it will download and index it. So very simple logic. It will go to this API, get CIK. This is anyway the function from our API. So get CIK and metadata. So we get CIK, and then we will use that to get the submissions. Company name, we'll get the company name, get the name, and from that name we are going to get recent forms, and we are just going to iterate if the form is 10K, because in the submissions every kind of form will come, and in this function I'm looking only for 10K, which is annual report. So this is what I get here, and after that I just check if it is already indexed. If it is indexed, then just place already indexed. It means I don't have to do it, and just return the status. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and download it. So you see there's a complete URL getting built. Once it is downloaded at the temp location, what do I do next? I will parse that to the pages because it's the HTML format, and after that I generate embeddings, and these both the functions are a part of ChromaDB client, which is above here, ChromaDB client here. So it has two functionalities: generate embeddings and download files, plus parse HTML in 2 pages. So these are the things which I'm using it, because I need to do the same thing for other type of files like earnings report or company presentation. So I continue to do that, generate embeddings, and then I prepare this metadata, embedding, append, documents, and for storing in ChromaDB, all I need to do is collection.add documents, and documents are nothing but the pages. All the HTML got converted into pages. So think of that one HTML is equal to 1 page, and embeddings of that page, and then metadata. Here a metadata is what I have, like what is the name of the company, like a ticker, company name, document type, like in this case it was called annual report. It is called annual report. I think that's mentioned here. Document type is 10K. Sorry, it's a 10K document type. Page number, source URL, and character counts. How many characters are there? So that I'm keeping all that as a metadata. Okay, and then it has a search function. So these tools which I'm making, so it has 2 kind of functions. One is download and index, and second is search. This is just a validation. If before I download, I'll just check, is it already indexed, then I should not download it. But otherwise, I will have only 2 functions, download and index, and search. So let's check now if I have this function implemented, and now if I run it, all I I'm right now just testing this function, which means this is going to download annual report for a given name. So let's run it. So right now I'm just initializing it, annual report rag, and then I say go and download and index which company, Tesla. Okay, so let's do that. It'll say found 10K for, you see the date 2025-0130, so which means 2025 annual report. Downloading, parsing document, parse 225 pages. So 225 pages were there, and then it will start generating embeddings. Now it will start doing it one at a time. So I need to wait for it, because this is a bulk process. It will take maybe a minute or 2. Okay, so we can see that now it got successfully indexed 225 pages. Means in this part what it has done is downloaded, parsed the document, converted those parsed documents into parsed HTML into pages, generating embeddings, and storing in ChromaDB. So I'm not calculating the time. I could have done it, how much time it takes, but looks like it took roughly under 2 minutes. All right, so let's continue next. Now data is indexed. I'll ask a question: what was the total revenue? Okay, and I'm passing the company name, because in the search function I need to pass just 2 things. One is the query, and other one is a ticker, like a symbol of the company. And top 2, I want only 2 results. I can make it 5. That's also okay, because it is going to pull the data from ChromaDB. There's no LLM involved at all at this point of time. So this is the retrieval process. Alright, so I got this data, found 5 pages. Now if I want to see the data, all I can do is very simple. I can add here and the variable called search results and run it, and I'll see that here I got to see the data. So let's take a look. Status success, what was the total revenue? This was a query, ticker this, document type 10K, and relevant pages. So first relevant page is text. This is a document. So it has a field called, it's a dictionary. See here. It's a dictionary, and it says field called text, and this is the data. We are required to file income tax returns. Okay, so this is the text, so we have to see whether it is relevant or not. Fine, then respective metadata, next, and then the similarity score, next, text. So this is the second, because I asked top K5. If I would have asked top K1, I would have got only one such chunk. So I got 5 different chunks. This is the third one, this is 4th, and this is 5. Okay, so this is what I asked, and now the only thing is This data is like a raw format. All these are all chunks. When we do RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, in that case we give all these chunks to model, and model will look into the query, which was what was the total revenue, look into these chunks and extract the right answer from those chunks and return it to the user. That's a RAG. But here I am not building RAG. I am just using the partial RAG, basically just a retrieval system, indexing and retrieval system, and I am going to use those components of RAG as a tool for agentic application, the one which I'm building for parallelization design pattern. So I hope this is clear, and similarly I will continue to do so for rest of 2 more modules are there, because we have done just for 1 and we need 2 more, which is second one is earning call. So this is a similar way I have implemented earning call. So we have a collection name which is a different, it means there's a different DB where the data will be stored. Document type is different, it's called 8K, and then we got same set of functions. Int index, init is just to initialize, get filing index, find exhibit. I think these are some internal functions which we need to check because to access this document. So this is from the API, and then we download an index, and this is again we are retrieving all these same functions like API get submission based on CIK, get the company name, and from the submission get filings and recent forms we get, enumerate on those forms, and we only check if form equals to 8K and length of earning is less than number of filings, then only we append it, otherwise we don't consider. And then we continue to do that, index each filing. How do we do it? So we just get the data. So this is just a form. So now we prepare the URL, which means download the file. Once the file is downloaded, we will come here, generate the documents. So assuming that I got access to the URL with the right forms which I received, I access those URLs, I run those URLs like here, and I got the file name. Basically I was able to download the file using this download file function, and then I'm actually having these pages, which is I use that parts HTML to pages, the temp path, because file will be downloaded on the temp path. So I read that, convert the HTML file into pages, give those pages, basically iterating those pages, generate embeddings, that's the first part, generate documents because that's the page text, and then store in the vector DB. So this is done, and then for search we just do this one like embeddings. And okay, one more thing which I probably had not covered in the previous one. So whenever we want to implement search in RAG, the query has to be embedded. We can't just send a text query as it is. So that's what you see here. The query, the first parameter is ticker, second is query. So when I pass the query to generate embedding function, it means I'm trying to embed the query and then do the search. I can't do a text search. It has to be embedded search or vector search. Okay, so this is done. Now let's run this and see how much time it takes. So let's test it. First I'll create this object. Next I create download, basically download this file. So I found 2 files. Okay, it has said there is a filing on this state and there's a filing on this state. Okay, great. And we got first file with 12 pages, second file with 25 pages. So we are having 37 total pages from 2 filings. Okay, great. Then let's test it. What were the quarterly earnings? So let's see, and we got 2 pages. Maybe I can do it 5. I can say there will be 5 results, and if I want to see the result, all I need to do is just print this. So here we got the data back. So this is the relevant page text. Okay, so we got some text like this. This is maybe their initial page looks like. Then we got beginning Q1 capital expenditure is presented inclusive of this fine. These are some numbers are presented or some terms are used, but I'm not sure whether this is exactly telling the expenditures or not. Our question was what were the quarterly earnings. So in this one, again something is present, and again we have some numbers present here, and then we have some numbers present here. So So I think mostly it is talking about financial summary, revenue, total revenue. Okay, total revenue increased to 12% year over year to this much. Okay, so some data we got, but only problem which I see is that when we chunk the data, probably it was in a proper tabular format, and when I parsed it from HTML to text or as a page, everything got merged, or the formatting of the table is lost. So this is the one part which we have to consider when we build a RAG application, because here when I give this data to agent may not able to understand clearly out of this chunks of text which is the right value for the answer which I'm looking for, or for the value for the revenue, because I asked what is the quarterly revenue. Okay, so that part is we have to do better thinking about how do I chunk the data. Alright, so this is all I wanted to show you. Maybe I can run another one quickly if it is required to see. Let's check this one, but it's not different from what we've done previously. So it's same company presentation, search, download file. So right now this is just a placeholder, so I think it's not implemented, but it will just have a download. So I'm just right now using only 2 of them. Third one I have not implemented it, but idea is that I need to implement in a similar fashion the way I did for earning calls and the annual report. And then I will, in the next video, I will show you the tools, and we will start seeing that, okay, how do I convert these into tools and implement an Agentic AI application. Thanks for watching.